Hi guys, in this tutorial we're going to be making a squad of 5 Deathwing Knights, and first of all I want to say a huge thank you to Goblin Gaming for sending me these miniatures out for review. Please check the description box down below where you can check out a link to their web store. As always guys, this is going to be a long tutorial, about 40 minutes, so go grab yourself a nice hot drink and we'll get started. Here I have all the parts laid out in sub-assemblies, and you can see from the pot that I'm holding up I have the arms and shield sections and also the front carapace of the armour to the Terminators. I decided to paint in sub-assemblies because it would make it much easier in the airbrushing stage to paint up the bodies with the green separately as opposed to on the Terminators themselves. I decided to test the colour scheme out on a Space Marine before painting the Terminators. I was unsure what I wanted the overall look to be, so I thought testing it on a Space Marine would be a good idea. I decided to go with a base colour, a Vallejo model colour, KHAKI. I'm just laying down a nice smooth base coat, but making sure that I don't obscure any of the details or go too heavy with a base coat. Now I'm spraying Vallejo Game Air Bone White onto the Terminator armour. I'm leaving the khaki colour behind in all of the recesses and all the areas where I feel natural shadows will form. If you look closely at how I'm spraying, you should see that I'm actually picking out key areas of the Terminator armour where I want the bone white to show and where I want to leave the khaki behind. I'm actually using extreme highlighting here, so on the back piece here you'll see that I'm just concentrating the spray pattern on the bottom and leaving the khaki behind. And you'll also see at a moment on the very top of the Terminator armour, I'll spray the cone of spray from the airbrush just towards the top area of the Terminator armour and leave it behind on the back plate. Hopefully by now you'll see how the effect starts to accumulate. As you can see, I've highlighted the tips of the toes, but towards the back of the feet I've left the khaki colour behind, and that's how I decided to highlight these Terminators. Here I'm using Vallejo's liquid gold series of paints, and it's old gold that I'm using. I thin it down with 70% isopropyl alcohol. Here I'm using Vallejo Game Colour Stonewall Grey. On the Games Workshop site where I seen that these were painted, I seen that they added cracks to the stonework on the shields, and I thought it'd be really cool to add that. I roll the bristles of my brush into a fine tip, and then I'm able to get nice sharp thin lines. To create that 3D effect, I'm giving a highlight to the left hand side of all the cracks. It's really going to make those cracks pop and make them look much more three-dimensional. Big fan of Games Workshop Screamer Pink, it looks brilliant on purity seals. The parchment of the purity seal is painted in a ushabti bone. All the gold's given a wash with ARGRAX Earthshade. I also add shadows to all of the armour and the shield using ARGRAX Earthshade as well. Nuln Oil is being used to shade all the areas of the stone. Purity seals are shaded using Gryphone sepia, but you can use Games Workshop's new Seraphim sepia. I need to use a liquid mask to mask off some of the chest armour. I use Vallejo's Game Air Dark Green, but you can also use Games Workshop's brand new Citadel Air Caliban Green. I wanted a really extreme highlight on all of the green work, so I went with a Scorpy green. I'm using a Scorpina green here to hard edge highlight all of the extreme edges of the cape. I went a little bit too extreme with the hard edge highlighting of the Scorpina green, so I decided to knock it back a little bit with Vallejo Game Air dark green. The exposed joints are painted in leadbelcher. the halves of the weapons in Mephiston red. Here I'm hard edging all of the edges of the miniature. Again, I roll the bristles of my brush into a nice sharp point, and I just let the natural angle of the brush do all the hard work for me. So I angle the miniature and paint generally to the side of the brush just to catch the edges. Here I'm using Games Workshop's old foundation paint, charred granite, but you can use GW's equivalent brand new base colour. Here I make my own pigment mix, mixing matte varnish with some pigments from Vallejo. I want to leave behind a really chalky looking stone effect. The really cool thing about the Deathwing Knights kit is you get this really cool extra miniature in the box, and I believe it's holding the relic of Caliban, so you can actually use it in your games if you're taking a relic with you in the games. I think it's really cool. I'm using Vallejo's liquid gold, old gold, but I highly recommend, if you're about to purchase it, that you don't purchase the liquid gold series of paints and you purchase their new metal colour gold. It's acrylic, it's much easier to use, and the finish is just as brilliant. For those that are going to be hand painting and not airbrushing, ZANDRI Dush and ushabti bone are a great combination to achieve a really nice Deathwing colour. Not the best editing on my part, guys, but earlier on in the video you would have seen that I was making up a mixture using pigment and matte varnish, and this is what I was doing it for, to make the top surface of that stone look really nice. Here I'm using liquid gold's copper. hope you enjoyed this video guys, and if you did, please hit the like button. And also don't forget to check out Goblin Gaming. Check out the description box down below where you can check out the link to their web store. And I'll catch you in the next one.